which to me is a dare. You tell me go do something, implying that I won't be able to. I'm like, okay. Challenge accepted, right? So I said that he dared me, and he wished me luck in finding this footage, because effectively it was a dare. So then I hear the news, because I get messages from people saying that he's live reading all of my DMs, which was, my first reaction was, what an idiot. Because in these DMs, I don't say anything incriminating. I repeatedly call him out on being narcissistic and a pathological liar who is blatantly trying to manipulate me and failing. Like, that's how I remember these conversations. He comes at me with a message. I tell him, I don't believe you. You're a liar. This is bullshit. And I know that you're lying, and I can prove it. And then he says, go, good luck. So when I hear that he's reading my messages, I'm thinking, like, is he trying to own me? Because I don't say anything in these that are incriminating.
Court issues. They're not done. The state is not done with me yet.
He says that he's trying, but one of the things that he does in this is that he tries to say that he got his kids back. He was given a trial visitation with supervision. And he tries to make that sound like his CHIPS case is completely closed, and it's not. Because if it was closed, imagine this. If he was still in custody of his children, this is one of those things that he does where he tries to present one thing so that people who interpret it favorably hear what he wants them to hear. But then if someone who isn't interpreting him favorably calls him out on that, he just goes, whoa, buddy, that's not what I said. And it's like manipulative asshole 101, like most blatant, obvious, duplicitous way of speaking imaginable.
It'd ever be appropriate, but
I'm not going to do it now or ever. Just say you're not going to do it. I don't really think that it would be in my interest at this current juncture for me to sign this waiver. And I don't think, actually, now that I think about it, I don't think it would ever be appropriate. Just say no. Just be honest for once. Just say, my house is a wreck. My kids look sad and dirty. My bedroom is humiliating to me. And that giant glistening crackarooski crock sitting on my mattress is a deep personal shame I will never live down. I would rather drive a 9-inch nail through the palm of my left hand than have the general public have access to 12 hours from 8 different body cam footages, every single nook and cranny of my dirty, filthy house. Just be honest.
Here you go. And people can make all sorts of arguments or whatever, but
because I don't see him showing the post that I made anywhere, so that kind of deprives it of context. Missive from the court of Baldo. King Baldo has again reached out through a system of ropes and pulleys to declare the following. He has never said the police did anything wrong during the execution of the search warrant on his premises, and both dares me and wishes me luck in finding evidence to the contrary to support a petition to the Kandiyohi County Sheriff's Department. So I don't know what in particular he's upset with, because that's what he said. I think he's going to be super pedantic and like try to like split hairs. So I'm just not going to let him do that. I'll just ignore it if he's saying like, oh, like I can't sum it up in like 3 seconds.
So this is Saturday, August 3rd. Civil case has since been sealed as well.
That you asked for. He asked for the protective order, to be clear. As far as I'm obviously not an attorney, so I can't give you specifics. However, if Hardin thought that there would be any damage to his case, I don't think that he would have any issues with that objection. But as Rekieta said prior, it's he doesn't think it would ever be in his interest to release the footage. So why be pedantic? Why say that there's this complex circular protective order that I requested and now it got approved, and now I'm using as a defense to release evidence that's going to be released on another trial if it goes to court, which is probably why, like, he might literally take a plea deal specifically because he doesn't want the body cam footage to become evidence in the criminal case, but it would come out there too. So there's a follow-up to this I'll get to because I mentioned it.
Releasing that or moving to release that or making any step for it risks me violating a court order. Now, in the thirst for more and more infos or whatever. So, Josh,
I want to see your dirty, filthy, fetid hovel. I want to see the dark confines of your home. I want to see the other room that the other rooms that you keep decrepit and dank. That's all I want.
I found this curious. He says, we're not asking you to release it.
Use the royal we. I say, I'm going to try to blow this up so I can actually see what it says. I say, quoting myself, we're not asking you to release it. We're asking you to grant the government permission to release it. There is no issue with you signing a letter of consent. Your body cam footage is also discovery of your criminal charge. It is part of the Chips case discovery, but is part of the state's case in the criminal one. And he says, we. And I reply with a question mark because I am not wanting to entertain his bullshit, pedantic, linguistic tricks. The we in this refers to me and my attorney, Matthew Hardin, who is licensed in the state of Minnesota to practice law. And, unlike certain other people, he actively does practice law in the state of Minnesota. I am asking him not to go to the Kiwi Farms and publish consent to release body cam footage. I am asking him to get into contact with my attorney, who is the second person in the we, to consent to this so that we can send it. We, me and him, can send it to the county to get it. Very easy. But for some reason, he apparently, from what I've been told, harps on and on and on about me and the Kiwi Farms being a single unit for like 50 minutes, even though it should be obvious that he's responding to me asking him to send my attorney consent.
It's not me. He's speaking on behalf of everyone now, I guess. No one is
Josh refuses to fall into my pit trap, so I open my holster and I run my gob for another 4,000 letters. Very cool.
Asking me anything, and you're specifically ignoring just how monstrous of a machine court is. I tell you there's a protective order on discovery in a case where the government is concerned about the safety of children. Right?
And this is a weird point, very briefly. The layout of his house is public record as well. I'm pretty sure that blueprints have to be filed with the county. Even outside of that, his Zillow listing for the house was public years ago, published on many different places, and that outlines where the house is. I repeatedly offered to take out any footage. If I received unedited footage, I would remove the kids, but this is always ignored. They never mention this. Barnes and Rekieta just pretend that there's some weird nefarious thing involving his kids about where his kids are staying. I don't want to see his kids' frog, amphibian, terrarium, or whatever. I want to see the Baldo bunker. I want to see the crock. I want to see the 4-person bed with the fridge on the side. And I want to see the filth on the floor. That's it.
Right, fellow parents? just go around.
And just say no. I don't understand this rhetoric. If you don't want it out, instead of pretending that there's some invisible force preventing you from doing this, just say, I am a total... I went on and on about how everything should be public record for years. I was willing to make money off of it when it was Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. I was willing to make money off of it when it was Rittenhouse. I was willing to make money off it, off everybody else. But now that it's me, I don't want it. And I'm a hypocrite, and I'm doing what I think is best for my family, and so on and so forth. Just don't, why being coward? I don't understand.
But maybe not to Josh. Like, I guess he doesn't think that way. And that's fine. Like, again, myopia.
I just don't care. I don't care what your concerns are because you're a bad person. Like, that's the thing. It's like, I know that me asking for the footage annoys you, which is why I make sure to tell everybody that he could consent to the release of the footage at any second, and he chooses not to. Not only him, by the way, I don't think he's ever going to mention this. April Anderson, formerly April M. Halt, is also able to consign to this, but because he is still living in a polycule with a second woman who is like 12 years younger than him, he has that woman locked down too, and that's not ever coming out. So as long as April Anderson is not party to either criminal case or the custody case, she could consent to it and not violate any order, but that's not going to happen because Daddy Baldo is not going to let it happen.
quote that from my hypothetical judge, Mr. Rekieta.
Is
Did you
that you're pretending that you would just love for this to be public, but you are lying in doing so. And you're also pretending that April can't consent, which you can.
step for the safety of your children? And then, of course, here's my response: sorry, Your Honor.
Fled the U.S. because of reasons is retarded. I did not flee the U.S. I moved to the Philippines, and actually, I moved to Australia for work. I moved to the Philippines for work. Then I moved to Ukraine because of the cost of living there. And then I moved to Serbia because it's also much cheaper to live there, and I work online. I also get $100,000 of tax exemption because I live as an expat. I did not flee the U.S. There is no warrants for me anywhere in any state for any reason. But the direct insinuation there, obviously, because of what he's saying about me and about the lolly avatars, is really obvious, and it's really my reply is on the point with this. By the way, I'll just let him say
the
it.
absurdity.
I just don't care. Like, I'm allowed to make data requests. I'm allowed to ask for shit. I am a citizen of the United States of America, and I and my companies, as American entities, are permitted to access and file requests for certain interesting matters of public public matters. So I don't understand the posturing. Isn't it just ridiculous that this Kiwi Farms property of Locale LLC is impugning itself on a Minnesota affair and asking for body cam footage? What a ridiculous series of nonsensical. It's just like, I'm allowed to. I literally have a right to do this. So I am, because it's of interest to me.
That looks insane, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Well, now they're coming back. They're like, oh, we always said they'd come back. Well, yeah, sure. That's.
I mean, from day one, I remember that there were people who worked with Child Protective Services, who said that in child custody cases, it is almost always better for a child to be returned to their home with supervision than to be put into the system. People who are caseworkers came out and said, in no uncertain terms, that even if the parents are like crack addicts who are just completely dysfunctional, it is still somehow better for the kids to be in the custody of the crack addicts than it is for them to be in the foster care system. So the state will almost always put children back in with their parents, even after repeated failed attempts to improve their parenting or get them off of drugs. They'll almost always go back, because the foster care system is apparently a nightmare, and they don't want that. So unless there's like, they might take them away permanently, but it has to be like an extremely appalling level abuse, like a deliberate of just using the child and harming them in order for it to be permanently taken away. There was never any doubt in my mind that the kids would return. I'm a little bit surprised that they've come back so quickly. But that just shows how much the system wants to give them back to you. And all these people that he's crying about, the evil Alicia Sweep and the evil Miss Booker, whatever her name was, the guardian ad litem, all these people were advocating for the kids to come back. And he's still bad-mouthing them and saying what horrible prejudiced people they are, who lie under oath and are trying to make him look bad. They're still, even with that in mind, are still advocating for the children to return. They're just asking for a little bit of supervision during for the sobriety. So I don't know. It's such a bizarre point to make. And then he says like I don't know, the way that he tries to like say the forum is wrong. It's like he really has to prove his child custody. His top concern in a child custody case is trying to make random internet commentators look wrong. Like, are your priorities not completely?
That's fine. You guys had no way to know.
Someone in his chat, Janelle Vigelis, says, so this guy, Farms, is asking Nick to sign a release of things pertaining to his case so that the Kiwi Farms can gossip and blast him. Yes.
To tell you. I don't know what else to tell you.
I don't know precisely how to counter that, but there is some weird timeline. That's not... I want to say, and I could be wrong, but I want to say that Health and Human Services asked him to do drug tests, and he and Kayla originally consented, and then revoked their consent until it became a matter in the courts, which gave them additional time to get sober. I want to say that's
People
what it
are
was.
making big deals out of stuff that they've made up in their minds.
There I was as a lush in the middle of a custody case and a criminal case. A criminal case that I paid, what was it, a $50,000 bond for me and my wife, so that neither of us would have to be sober during these criminal proceedings. I was plastered the first time, the first night before my first piss test for the child custody case. And, like, to be clear, his losing his children and going to jail was not wake up enough for him to stop drinking. He had to wait until the very second the line was drawn in the sand by the court system. And then he goes, "Stupid Kiwi, don't you realize I wasn't court ordered not to be a pathetic drunk anymore? I didn't, I mean, I posted $50,000 bond so I wouldn't have to be sober. Idiots." Like, that's not really a defense.